Hello everyone, this is Rakshita CRRI presenting you a case presentation on TMJ ankylosis, an imperative approach in a pediatric patient. What is TMJ ankylosis? It is a condition which restricts the movement of joint, thus limiting its jaw function. When the condition occurs in childhood, it creates a facial deformity. There are many classifications like Miller-Schwanning. One such classification is Kazanjian classification. It is said as extra-articular or false ankylosis and intra-articular or true ankylosis. In false ankylosis, pathological changes is seen surrounding the TMJ. In true ankylosis, fibrous or bony adhesion is seen between the articular eminence of the condyle and the glenoid fossa, thus restricting the joint movement. Let us see the clinical features of unilateral ankylosis. On extraoral finding, we'll be seeing gross facial asymmetry, convex profile, chin is shifted towards the ipsilateral side and mandible deviates towards the affected side. On ipsilateral side, rounding of the lower face with prominent antegonial notch and ill-defined gonium is seen. On contralateral side, flattened or elongated appearance is seen. Restricted mouth opening, and on palpation of preauricular region, less joint movement is seen. Intraoral findings include decreased maximum interincisal distance, poor oral hygiene, multiple impactor or submerged teeth. Bilateral ankylosis features includes gross facial deformity, bird face deformity or anti-gumpy appearance. It is a famous cartoonistic characteristics. And high convex profile with double chin. Retrognathism and micrognathia is seen with bilaterally reduced mandibular height, and on preauricular palpation bilaterally there will be no joint movement. There will be poor oral hygiene on reduced or nil maximal interincisal mouth opening. If we see about the ankylosis management, it varies between the child and adult. Mostly it occurs, we do management either as interpositional arthroplasty, gap arthroplasty, costochondral graft or distraction osteogenesis. Now let us see about the objective. The main objective includes removing the ankylosed mass and mobilizing the jaw with reconstruction of the jaw and maintaining the vertical height of the ramus, and also preventing its recurrence with restoration of the occlusion and maintenance of the function and correction of secondary facial deformity. If we go on to distraction osteogenesis, it means creating an osteotomized cut in the desired location with creating a gradual separation. It is distraction by using a special device called distractor at a rate of 0.5 to 1 mm per day following 5 days latency period. There are many classifications like according to age, according to placement of distractor, according to anchorage, vector, etc. If you see about placement, intraoral and extraoral, and according to age, pediatric and adult. Let's see about the stages of distraction. First, atraumatically osteotomy is done at the location and followed by a latency period where the distractor is placed with no mobilization of the osteotomized segment is done. In this latency period, since there is no mobilization is there occurs duration for primary bone callus formation in between the osteotomized segment. If the latency period is too short, then there will be poor callus formation and the poor consolidation occurs. If the latency period is so long that the callus formation occurs as calcified and the proper distraction cannot be achieved, followed by a distraction period where the slow distraction between the osteotomized segment is done, which creates which is done with 0.5 to 1 mm per day, where there is a formation of both hard tissue and soft tissue occurs. New cells are being generated in this period, distraction period. If we see about the consolidation period, it is a duration which is given for calcification of the formation of the primary callus formation occurs in this consolidation period. After the evidence of the radiological evidence of the bony formation is seen, the distractor is removed and then occurs the remodeling phase. If we see about the indication, TMJ ankylosis, reconstruction of the resorbed alveolar bone, mandibular and maxillary hypoplasia with post-traumatic or post-resection segmental defect. The contraindication includes generalized bone disorders like osteoporosis, osteopetrosis, osteogenesis imperfecta, and poor patient compliance, history of poor fracture healing, and aggressive tumor. The advantages include it augments the native bone, soft tissue and nerve growth around the bone, it avoids graft rejection, foreign body reaction, increased length and breadth, it does not hamper the bone growth when performed in growing children. The disadvantages include long duration of treatment, it requires 2 surgeries, the device failure is most common, and the infections is seen, technique sensitive, expensive, and the scarring is also seen, with sometimes improper consolidation may worsen the condition. The complication includes premature or delayed consolidation with axial deviation of the distracted side, buckling or bending of the regenerate bone, complete stress fracture of the regenerate after fixator removal, and incomplete lengthening is also seen. If we see about the gap arthroplasty, it is the management of the TMJ ankylosis. It is also called as osteoarthrectomy. There is a simple bone division is done to separate the ramus of the cranial base and the ramus from the cranial base, thus creating a pseudoarthrosis. Usually 1 centimeter of the osteotomy cut is done. If it is done too long, then there will be a immobilization of the jaw, thus it creates an open bite. If the osteotomized cut is too short, then the possibility of recurrence is seen. Now let us see about the case presentation. Ms. Jaita, a 3-year-old female, came to our OP with the patient's mother complaints of difficulty in mouth opening, was a HOPI of history of difficulty in food intake from childhood. There is no relevant medical history. On general examination, patient is conscious, cooperative and well oriented. On extraoral examination, gross facial asymmetry is seen, and on the left side, there is flattening is seen. It is the unaffected side, and on the right side, it is the affected side. There is roundening and chin deviation, and prominent antigonial notch is seen, and the condylar movement is not palpated on the preauricular region in right side of the TMJ. Intraoral examination, we find that the mouth opening is 6 mm, occlusal derangement with increased deep bite and increased overjet. Routine blood investigation, ECG, CT, chest X-ray is taken. We came to the diagnosis of right TMJ ankylosis. Our treatment plan for this case is stage 1, which includes distraction placement, and on stage 2, after 4 months, gap arthroplasty with distraction removal is done. On the preoperative pictures, we see that the flattening of the unaffected side and rounding of the affected side with micrognathia and the restricted mouth opening is seen. Intraoperative pictures, the patient is placed in supine position, and on intubation, GA is administered, and the patient is draped and with a betadine solution, the area is wiped and osteotomized, and the osteotomy is placed on the antigonial notch and ramus of the mandible is identified, and the osteotomy cut is placed on the ramus of the mandible. Then the distractor placement is done. Then Metrogel wash is given and sutures are placed and patient is extubated. This is the OPG picture. This is the immediate post-op picture of the patient. We see 3D CT after the distractor placement. This is the sagittal view. We can see the distractor which is placed. This is the 1-month post-operative picture. This is after second stage surgery. It is gap arthroplasty. We can see that the maximum mouth opening nearly 25 to 26 mm is achieved after this. We can clearly see the mouth opening after the surgery. Maximum mouth opening. We can see the beautiful transformation from pre-op and post-op pictures. To conclude, I would like to say that the treatment of the case is not done by conventional method, by thinking out of the box, a different approach of performing distraction osteogenesis, initially followed by gap arthroplasty, was done to promote growth in early stage of the child and desired length is achieved. Close post-operative care and cooperation of the patient and the families plays a great role for ultimate outcome of the procedure. These are my references.